We did not send $60. We did not respond to anybody. Well, you're really going to want to respond to this motion or this could be thrown out, right? So just whatever comes your way, don't do anything. Just wait for the final order.
Okay, that's right. Do you know why yours came before your husband?
Probably because my years were 2000 to 2016.
Right, and that's right. If you put
and his years encompass more than 50 years.
Right, but when he got it, they were all on there, weren't they?
Actually, they were not on his order, and his order looked a little differently. I just think somebody's fingers were going to get too tired from typing up the whole thing, and I'll get that real quick and read it to you. It's very short.
Yes.
And on his order of dismissal for lack of jurisdiction on September 6th, petitioner filed the petition to commence this case. No notice of deficiency or notice of determination sufficient to confer jurisdiction on this court is attached to that petition. On October 24th, respondent filed a motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction on the ground that no notice of deficiency or notice of determination has been issued to petitioner that would permit petitioner to invoke the court's jurisdiction. Although the court directed the petitioner to file an objection, if any, to respondent's motion to dismiss, petitioner failed to do so. Upon due consideration, it is ordered that respondent's motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction is granted, and this case is dismissed for lack of jurisdiction.
Okay.
December 29th.
Now, my question to you is, read that as though the respondent mention the respondent versus his name, so they get the drift.
Sure.
That way they understand. So see. Because it says a whole lot more that way. Would you do that?
Okay. So when I read that, I'm going to read it this way. On September 6, 2017, Paul Edward filed a petition to commence this case. No notice of deficiency or notice of determination sufficient to confer jurisdiction on the court is attached to that petition. On October 24th, Commissioner of Internal Revenue filed that no notice of deficiency. That's funny. No notice of deficiency or notice of determination has been issued to Paul Edward that would permit Paul Edward to invoke the court's jurisdiction. Although the court directed Paul Edward to file an objection, if any, to Commissioner of Internal Revenue's motion to dismiss, Paul Edward failed to do so. Upon due consideration, it is ordered that Commissioner of Internal Revenue's motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction is granted, and the case is dismissed for lack of jurisdiction.
See, it says a whole lot more when you say it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now what's going to happen when they say, well, we didn't mean it? Well, it doesn't matter whether they meant it or not. See, it's just a whole lot more powerful. And so what they're doing is the IRS or the commissioner, they're telling you they don't have jurisdiction. See?
Right.
Now, if the IRS took anything from you, if they've seized anything or got any liens or levies, do you see how you can use that now to have them released?
Yes, and that may have been part of the holdup because a few years ago they took out $189 out of one check, and after we sent them a letter with a lot of questions that they didn't want to answer, they never took anything out again.
Right.
But
now, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. And what we noticed, at that time we weren't getting electronic, we were getting checks for Social Security. And they always came from Kansas City. When they started taking things out, they were assigned to Alabama or Atlanta only for 1 month. And then they came back to Kansas City after they didn't want to answer the letter, the questions we sent. Now, part of the questions included there are digits at the top of the monthly check that seem to increase every month by a little over 3 million digits. What do those digits mean? When they took the $189 out, the digits dropped 149 million. So we said, well, why did these digits drop 149 million? Who authorized it? What were they used for? And the questions went on. Now, when they stopped taking out of his check after 1 month, they put everything back in but 3.2 million digits. So that may have been why his was held up a little longer, because they're trying to decide, well, what are we going to do about this?
Right.
Yeah.
See, now, if you get a letter from the IRS and it says that they're going to go to your bank and take and seize your checking account, take that letter, or take the court order, take a certified copy, because that's important now. They're going to take your money. Go to the bank and give it to them. If the bank says, well, we can't do that, that's perfectly fine. Sue the bank. That'll be your evidence. The bank is now in contempt of court. See, it's not about taxes anymore. It's about contempt of court. Then what happens is they'll put the money back, and the IRS won't show up, and then the bank will be out. The bank will be out of the money, not you. So it's a pretty good deal that we got. Just don't. Like I said, if you feel nervous and you don't feel like you want to talk to them, that's perfectly fine. Just don't do it, because you don't have to, because they'll still get what they're still going to give them what they want.
Kerry?
Yes?
Let me interject something about that contempt of court. We got our judgment, and what I did is Lynn and I drafted a letter, and I sent it to the chief counsel who was assigned to our case.
Right.
So I sent a letter back to her with a copy of the judgment requesting that they remove the liens and levies and restore the Social Security to full payment. And if they didn't oblige, in, I believe we put 15 days, we would pursue through the tax court for contempt. So I then contacted the tax court and asked them the proper procedure to follow to file contempt, because each court has their own rules to follow to file contempt of court. The lady says, well, what are you filing contempt for? And I said, because I've got somebody that's not honoring a judgment issued by your court. She goes, well, who is it? And I said, well, what's the procedure? She goes, well, hold on a minute. She put me on hold for about 10 minutes, comes back and says, well, what you have to do is write a letter to the clerk, tell her who you want to file against, and then we'll give you instructions.
See? So there you go. That's perfect. Now, the other thing you look at, any court you look at, it also says on the court website that this is a court of limited jurisdiction. And it's usually defined. It'll tell you there it's a limited jurisdiction. So if you want to know if the court has jurisdiction, you write a letter to them and ask them. And just stay on them, and eventually you'll get it. What we're doing now is we're writing letters to the United States District Court, asking if they have jurisdiction over the IRS. They don't, we don't give legal advice. Just keep writing. Eventually they'll come back and say no, they don't have it. That's invaluable because if the IRS comes after you, they're coming after you. They're going to take you to the United States District Court. But they don't. The reason the IRS doesn't have, or the reason the court doesn't have a jurisdiction over the IRS is the IRS is incorporated under the IMF. So it's not even the right. In other words, they can't take you there, but that's where they take you, and see, you can't get a good, fair ruling because there's no jurisdiction. So anything you can do like that, what you're doing is you're getting your case set up so that if you have to use it, you've already got it. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and can't get it in time because it takes so long.
Okay, and the other thing I did, I just want to let the callers know, is if you got a lien or levy, it's recorded at the county. It's also recorded on your credit report. So I contacted all 3 credit reports and filed a dispute and sent them a copy of the judgment. I got 3 responses back from all 3 credit bureaus stating that it was under investigation and that they're waiting to hear back from the party that filed
plug it in. I can't do it.
the levy. So it's only been about 10 days.
Right. But, well, the IRS won't answer it. They're not going to answer it, so it will come off.
Cool.
So this is it works pretty good. It really works pretty good for those that are using it.
Well, I'm just trying to cover all the bases because,
yes,
that's one thing that hurts everybody is what's on their credit report.
Yes, it does.
And unless you go after that, they don't remove it.
Right. See, it's up to us to keep our stuff cleaned up. And so when you go to the credit report, you send them a copy. You can send a copy of your court order. If they ignore it, then you can pursue other avenues because you have the proof of it.
May I make a suggestion?
You may.
Now, this may not be for everybody, but what I'm planning on doing is just writing the basic letter saying, hey, verify that this is valid or not. And if they don't verify it, then they violated due process, and you can hit them for a lot of money, violating due process of your rights. Because you now can go with the order to the district judge and say, these guys didn't even check like they're supposed to. And with what happened with Equifax just a few months ago, they're going to get hit hard.
Yeah. But so what we're trying to do is give you some tools that you haven't had in the past. And by giving you these tools, you're going to be able to go and if you have to fight them or argue with them, you have the tools you need to do that because they can't. The IRS people think they just do whatever they want. Well, they don't. They don't get to do whatever they want because they're governed like everybody else. And we just never knew how to do it before. So, but I think in the last 2 months. Hey Ed, are you back?
Yeah, there I am.
In the last couple of months, we've had several people calling. They're starting to get their checks from Social Security retirement for the first time in several years.
That's correct.
And so we're making headway.
Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Don't forget to like this video. And don't forget to click the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified when there's a new upload. Here's the front page of the channel. The bottom arrow is pointing at the subscribe button that's normally red until you click on it. And this one turns white after you subscribe. And the right one is the arrow. The top arrow is pointing to the bell. Now, the bell doesn't show up until after you click the subscribe button, and then the bell will show up. And that way you can be notified of new uploads.
We just have to keep, focused on it. And, again, when they call you to verify whatever it is they're going to verify, you don't have to call them back. So don't feel like you have to. If you get nervous, if that's one of the things you're not good at, don't call them back. They're going to give it to them anyway. They're going to get it anyway.
Dwayne Williams might be on here. I don't know.
All right. Let's ask him. Hey, Dwayne, are you on?
Don Ballard is on. He was on a while ago.
Well,
Yeah, I'm still with you.
Going to tell them what you've done, Don, where you're at on this?
Well, I've already gotten my letters back from the court, and today, in fact, I mailed a copy of that court order to all the different branches of the IRS. Ogden, Utah, San Francisco, Memphis, Cincinnati, Ohio, Atlanta, you name it. Every one of them. 11 different places. And so yesterday I got an orange slip back, certified mail IRS. And so I went and picked it up this morning. And it was out of Cincinnati. And they wanted me to submit to them immediately $12,000 some. I just taken it and put it in another envelope, and put one of the court orders around it with a rubber band, and dropped it in the mail and sent it right back to them.
Yep, that's what you do. And see, they're going to get it back because they don't have how did he have jurisdiction? He didn't have it just the other day. How did he get it now? That's exactly what you do. Anything you get from the IRS, you just send it back to them in the envelope that you got it in, and that's how you handle it. Go ahead and finish that. I didn't mean to cut you off, sir.
May I interrupt, please? My name is Mark, first-time caller.
Well, since you're a first-time caller, we don't let you do that. Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Of course.
If I say please and I submit,
go ahead.
it means to beg.
Go ahead. Yes, Mark,
okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for Lynn and her letting me know about this. And I have a couple of situations that are somewhat similar. My wife, they started garnishing her Social Security several years ago for something they said she owed in 2003. I did, after about a year and a half, I did a certain process with which they stopped. They never said anything. They just stopped. They haven't done anything since. I'm not going to go into that. But from what I understand, she should be eligible for the reimbursement of those funds that they took for a year and a half or so. From what I've been hearing on the call, that's one thing I wanted to ask you about.
Well, there is a process to do that, yes.
Right, yes. Okay, I'm not going to...
Get with Ed,
yeah.
and Ed will give you my number, and I'll give you some information on it, and then you can go and get the stuff you need. So
I do know about a couple of forms and so forth. Yes, I would be more than glad to get with Ed. Two more questions.
No problem. Sure.
They have come after my son, and he did an agreement to pay them a certain amount a month, for I don't know however many months, and he's in the process of that agreement. But I would think, even though he signed the agreement, contract, if you will, if he were able to, get the court order that we're talking about, wouldn't that help to have him have the contract nullified?
Well, of course. If he did,
yes.
If they don't have jurisdiction, then they're not they're not capable of creating a contract.
Right.
So the answer is yes.
And finally, I have 3 tax liens on my credit report. They may be both state and local, federal, FTB in California, and they have been released, but they're still on the credit report. And so, obviously, I want to try to attack those.
Well, you just have to do that through the California.
Right.
How you'll just have to do that through them. And for those of you that live in a state that has income taxes, if you read your income tax book, the book says all your taxes are validated by your federal taxes. Well, when you get this, they didn't have jurisdiction, so guess what? That unvalidates it. So,
now,
so
and what I'm
excuse me. Go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
Well, there's a process you can do to get the state to tell you that, and then you can have that. You can stop paying that too. We're having pretty good success right now with several states.
Okay, well, I'm not paying anything, so at least that's all stopped. But part of my point is they did go ahead and use that against me in the state at one time to take money, and so I'm assuming that this might be from my bank account, and I'm assuming from the part of the previous conversation tonight, we may be able to recover that as well.
Yes, there's a very good possibility.
Yeah, I'm not asking for 100%. I want to learn what I can, and I will follow through. I followed through, and they stopped after they said my wife owed them over $30,000. They did stop, and they've never heard from them. We've never heard from them since. But I'd like to do some more now. So
right.
I will follow through.
Yeah, the best thing to do is get rid of your wife.
Wait a minute.
No, I'm kidding. No.
I know you are. I'm going to kid back, and I'm going to say, let's put this on speakerphone and go sit next to her right now.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah,
and at least if she hears you say this, I will be appalled because I'm following.
Yeah. But what we end up doing by doing this is giving us the power and the stuff we need. Somebody's got their phone. But they make a lot of noise in the background. Could you hit star 6? Thank you. Whoever that was, thank you. But what we're trying to do for you is we're trying to build a wall around you so that you're protected against them, because they don't follow the rules or nothing, and this is going to help you more of what's yours. Now, everybody on here, do they understand what we're talking about going to the tax court, get the court forms? Do they know where to get them and everything?
I do, from the past calls and so forth. This part, I understand that part of things.
Okay,
yeah, me too. Mine's done.
And I understand about the $60 as well.
What is it about the $60?
Don't pay them. You don't pay them.
That's correct.
Because if you just said if you pay them, they put you into their administrative side of things and look at you as a government employee. I think that's what you said.
Yes, that's exactly what happens. And so what happens is... Go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I have one more follow-up question to that. But finish your thought, please.
Yeah, go.
Well, my follow-up question was, does this relate to somebody who has a business rather than a personal, Social Security number, a separate business, business with a separate EIN or identification number? Does this apply if they're part of a corporation, they own part of a corporation, or they have a business incorporated or business registered under a different number than the regular Social Security number?
Okay, you're asking me a question I don't know about. Now, a corporation is a contract. I don't know what the contract says. It's possible, but it's also possible not to be. So the best thing to do is unincorporate and then get a DBA or something and separate it from you.
Okay, fair enough. But I'm not an attorney, and I'm not.
Yeah. That's not my forte. So I really don't know.
The only thing you guarantee is the wife and price. Other than that, well, you don't guarantee that.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I just, all I am is, I just try to help. I don't charge for the service. We're not charging for the service, so we're not really trying to make any money on anybody, and we're here, and I return as many calls as I can. I get 30 to 40 calls a day, every day, on this stuff, and people are just they're starting to feel relief. They're really starting to get relief. So
correct.
So I think we're doing okay there. This is not to make money. This is to give you guys your lives back.
Question, Kerry.
Yes.
Yeah. You mentioned a district court. Is there a particular person you're mailing this letter to on the district court?
If you go on the United States District Court, I do it through Washington, D.C. It's just easier. There's a list. It'll say judges. There's a list of judges there. And usually it'll say chief judge, secondary judge, or whatever. I would just make it dear chief judge. Then you're a court of limited jurisdiction. My question to you is, the IRS is they're after me. Do you have jurisdiction on the Internal Revenue Service? And then send it to them, and that's it. Don't worry about it. They're gonna come back and they're gonna say, well, we don't give legal advice. Then turn around and say, well, we're not asking for legal advice. On your website it says you're a court of limited jurisdiction. I want a definition of that limited jurisdiction. Does that limited jurisdiction include the Internal Revenue Service? And then mail it back. And eventually they're going to come back and they're going to say, well, get an attorney. Dear Chief Judge, I have hired an attorney. The attorney doesn't know. They can't answer the question. Then ask them again, your limited jurisdiction, do you have jurisdiction on the Internal Revenue Service? Eventually the judge is going to say, we do not have it. Take that, baby, and put it in a safe somewhere. Because if the CID comes after you, that's a Criminal Investigation Division, comes after you, they're going to say they're with the IRS. Then you can hand them that letter and say, hey, the chief judge said you don't have jurisdiction. So if you have it, prove it to me. If you don't, hit the road. And it will save you a lot of heartache.
You're saying that in relation to the federal district court, not the tax court, correct?
No, not the tax court.
Right.
If you go on the Internal Revenue, the tax court has jurisdiction. Now, in the Internal Revenue Manual, I have to go on there. I have the statute that says the tax court is final and binding. Their final order is final and binding. In other words, the IRS can't come back and object to it and can't say anything. It's final, and they cannot object to it. There's a statute. If you need it, get a hold of Ed. Ed will let me know, and I'll email it on over to Ed, and he can give that to you. That way, you'll have the Internal Revenue Manual, the statute inside of the manual that says all tax court rulings are final and binding. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yes.
All the court orders state that the IRS is the one that recommends the court dismiss your case for lack of jurisdiction.
See, that's right. And see that, and so that's how this case. You're right, Ed. That's right. So what we're getting is the order that the IRS says they don't have jurisdiction. So if they don't have it, then they don't have it. So if you get a letter from the IRS and it says file the tax return, take their letter, put it in an envelope, take your court order, put it in an envelope, and mail it back to the person that did it to you, and it's over. I also took my court order. I took it and sent it to the IRS, asking the IRS for a 2358C letter, and they sent it to me. And what it says is, you are not required. You are not legal.
Check out our other videos and playlists. Republic of Texas RT documentary. Texas and other American states is under a military occupation. The Republic of Texas Forum of 2016. And describe the kind of people who would thrive in independent Texas. And so check them out.
legally required to file a tax return. So what I'm trying to do is get enough defenses up that if they do come, you come unscathed, and they don't take all of your retirement. The worst thing you can do is work, get to be in your 60s, get ready to retire, and they come in and they take all of your retirement. Now you got to stay working for the next 4 or 5 years because you don't have enough money to buy groceries, and that's what we're trying to stop.
So it also like to stop people from having heart attacks and causing divorces and everything else.
Yes, because this is very stressful, and we don't want nobody to have any of that kind of stuff. But we're trying our best to make it as easy as possible. We've gotten it down now where it's relatively simple. It's pretty simple. You can fill out all the forms in about 10, maybe 15 minutes. And that's all you. And then once you do that, then they'll call you on the phone and tell you who they are, and they'll tell you that, do you have a problem with us doing a motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction? The answer is no, I have no objections, and then just hang up. Don't get into an argument with them, because if 3 words work, don't tell them 4, because the 4th word is the one that they'll hang you on. Does anybody have any questions?
I got a comment.
Go right ahead.
I'm sure it's not a big deal or anything, but I when I filed my petition, and once they got it, they tried to call me a couple of days after they got it. Okay. Which I'm sure is not a big deal. I didn't answer the phone or anything. I was just kind of surprised that they, right off the bat tried to call me.
That's good. Just, you don't have to call them back. What they're going to do is they're going to tell you that they're going to tell you that they're going to send you a motion in the mail, and they're trying to tell you something. They're going to do it anyway. Okay, they're going to do it anyway. So if you don't call them back, that's not going to stop the process. They're going to give it to them anyway. So if you don't want to call them back, don't call them back. If you want to call them back,
I didn't. Back. Right, I didn't call them back. Just listening to the previous calls, I mean, it didn't seem like it was going to be an issue.
Yep. Now it won't be an issue. Now if you get a letter from a motion or an order from the court, and it says we need a more definite statement. We want you to tell us whatever you want to tell, whatever it is. The best answer for that is to say, I never received a notice of deficiency. I never received a notice of determination for the years, and put the same years down you did before. If you went to 2000, put 2000, 2001, all the way to 2017 or wherever you went, and then mail it back. And don't worry about it. That way you always see they're going to say, well, you never sent, we need a more definite statement because you didn't send any notices in. All you got to do, the reason for it is, don't call them up, just type it up. Put the heading at the top, go back on the website, get their complaint, put the complaint down, say, I'm giving you a more definite statement. I never received, and then mail it back to them. That way, your question's always the same, and you won't give them more than, they won't have anything else to go for.
Right.
That makes sense?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, it does. Yep.
And if they call you on the phone, and you recognize the number or don't recognize the number, don't answer it, that's fine. You don't have to call them back because they're gonna put it in anyways, and the court's gonna give it to them anyways. So don't take a chance of shooting yourself in the foot because you called them. Some people don't like to get on the phone and talk to them. Others do a real good job.
Mm-hmm.
And then others just they don't do a good job at it. They don't like it. So the thing is, don't do it.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys. I had a bad experience with them when I was in my 30s, and they came after me and they took my business and all my property, and they put me in jail. And so yeah, I don't like the bastards.
Right. So now, make sure when you do your paperwork, you go back past those dates. They didn't have jurisdiction, and you can go back and make them pay for that.
Yep, I did that. Yep.
Okay, now when you get your paperwork, I'll go over some things with you and show you what you can do to recoup that.
Okay, great.
So again, we're not here to sell you a bunch of snake oil, because I don't care if you buy it or not. What we're trying to do is Ed asked me to start if I would help him do a couple of these calls, and it's turned out to be people seem to have enjoyed them because they keep coming back. But what we're trying to do is give you some tools, because they don't play fair. This way we got tools that we can help you with, build a wall around you so they can't get to you, and you won't lose your business, and and all of that. That way it'll be a whole lot better for you.
Yep, sounds great.
Does anybody else have any other questions that they would like to ask so they can get their question asked?
I have a question because I have a pending, a current case.
Okay.
That is happening right now. Kind of in the process, and I do still have a valid driver's license, but I try not to use it, and I've let my registration lapse on my car, and then I got stopped. So I've been in the process of trying to get the passport stuff done and whatever. So I do have my DBA, and that's what I showed the sheriff that stopped me. Because of that, he was able to find my name in the system, and he said, "Oh, you do have a valid driver's license," so he wrote me a ticket. I signed it without prejudice, and I sent it back, refused for cause, within, the next day. And they had I had an appearance date coming up with 2 weeks or something like that. So when I didn't I wasn't sure what to do, and when I didn't, I guess I shouldn't have expected any kind of response, but I called the clerk just to see what the status was. And I had also sent an affidavit in with my returning the citation. She said, "Well, you need to send a copy of that to the prosecutor with, you can do it by fax." So I sent the prosecutor that same affidavit and returned a copy of the citation and also a copy of my DBA, which I had shown to the sheriff, asking for a response, which I got none.
Right.
And so then I was kind of, I guess I wasn't sure what to do, if I should just not show up. And someone else told me that, about sending in a request for subrogation. So I did this whole handwritten letter, and I sent that in before my appearance date, requesting subrogation. And now I'm thinking I might have overstepped it and did too much before I was even had an appearance date.
Right. We might have. You're into a field that I don't do it that way. What I've done is I've came up with I call it a Form 1020. And what I do is I send it to them, trying to ask them, do they have jurisdiction? Once they say, and they never answer it, then I do a fault with the right to cure, and then I do a default. Then I take the default down to the county, and I file it, and I send it to them, paid in full. Because I'm not an attorney, and I can't make a legal determination. So that's how I always handle it. There's no reason to stand there and get beat up on the side of the road. I don't ever challenge them, because they're not afraid to hit you with the club or whatever they have.
Right.
So you're better off to go home safe, but that's how I handle it. And
Stay with me.
I just don't I don't participate with them either.
Well, this is thing. So I have so they did send me a letter of pre-trial hearing date. I didn't open it, but I called the clerk again just to find out the status. And so she said pre-trial hearing date of January 19th. And I asked her, if they'd gotten my paperwork, and she said, yes, you need to come in and talk to the prosecutor. So,
well,
I was really trying to avoid going in there, but.
Well, that I understand that. But the best thing to do, I'm not, again, you're outside of my wheelhouse a little bit there, but the best thing to do is you're going to have to address it, or they'll put out a warrant for you.
Right.
And so, I always deal with it through paper. I send them a 1020 in the mail, and with the 1020, I make them whatever they do. If they do return it, then I tell them thank you for returning it. Then I do the argument. I do another 1020 that basically says thank you for your expertise. I'm not an attorney, and I challenge the money issue. So there's multiple ways that I do it. Not that I'm telling you how to do it, but and what is your name?
Lisa.
Okay. Do you know Ed?
Not specifically. I was referred by someone else.
Okay, that's fine.
I got her email. I hadn't answered it yet a while ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I just sent you another email with these details just because I wasn't sure if I was going to get in on the call.
Get with her, and if she needs anything, Ed, just get with me, and we did, but what's happening with what you were doing in the past, and you're on defense, okay?
Right.
I don't know if you watch football or not, but if the football team, if the football team is on defense the whole game, they never get on offense. They can win, but it's extremely difficult. The team that's on the field on offense the most normally wins, not always. So what we're doing now is we're no longer on defense. We're going on offense the best we can. We're on offense, and we stay on offense. In other words, I got a ticket, so my offensive move is, here's my 1020, answer it. You're obligated. You're an attorney. I can't make a legal determination. You make it. If they don't, I default them. Then I take it down and I file it in the county. But then I bring in the judge if you have to. See, we're always on offense. And that's what we're doing with this when we go to the tax court. What it does is we're just being on offense, and it seems to work a whole lot better.
Is there a Form 1020, whatever that is, online somewhere, or can Ed help me with that later? Or?
I don't know. It's a form that I made up. I mean, I made it up. It's a form that I made up. I've never seen anybody else use it before. So if you get with Ed, I'll send him one, and the cover letter, and then you'll get the letter and a cover letter, and then then he'll give you my number, and I'll help you fill it out so that you understand it. Because it's no good to be on offense, show up for a football game, and they're playing baseball. If you don't understand,
right.
You're not.
I know, and that's why I hesitate to do certain things, because I want to be able to stand under it. I don't want to do something I don't know what I'm doing. So.
Well.
But then I might have jumped the gun. Someone did, give me this advice about the subrogation letter, and now looking back, I think I overstepped it. So. Right,
but there's a couple of guys on here tonight that have used my 1020. And it's worked.
Is that like a discovery thing or a jurisdiction thing, or?
Yes, and yes. You make it anything you want. It's a form.
All right.
The word form. Okay. Do you know what the word form means?
To me, it's just
model. It's a model or skeleton to be used in a court of law.
Okay, right.
Okay, so it's a model or a skeleton that you're going to use. You're going to ask a particular question. If they don't answer it, and they're obligated to answer it, then you tell them. If you don't answer it, this bill is paid in full. We're using it on property tax, and they can't answer it there either. So we got them in quite a bind with it.
So you don't think what I've done so far is kind of hamstrung me?
Are you in jail right now?
No.
Then you're okay.
Okay. Well, I know it's just a pre-trial hearing because I think even if I go there, it's not like they're going to, arrest me. Yeah, they're not going to arrest me for contempt or nothing. The worst is going to happen is I'm going to end up with a trial. But
that's okay. It's okay.
Right.
I think this might help you because you can read it. You'll be on offense. You can preemptively do
Well,
it.
that's what someone else was telling me. You need to just ask for discovery, and they won't be able to do it, and then they'll have to drop it.
Well, they don't have to do anything, but whatever. But if they do something, you've got it now. You've got it in writing, and you can go and now you can appeal. See, now you can appeal. Well, I was trying to pay the fine. But they wouldn't tell me. I was trying to plead guilty, but they wouldn't tell me how to do it. I sent them here's my 1020 form, see, and they won't answer me. So now I don't know what to do. See, so you always stand behind. If you don't know, you don't know. They have to tell you, and that's that's how we're doing it, and we're on all the time. So, does anybody else have any questions?
I've got a question.
Thank you.
Sure, go right ahead.
So
our blog is texasrepublic.wordpress.com. Our website is thetexasrepublic.com. Our email address is oneyellowroseenterprises@gmail.com. Our YouTube profile is, this is the link because YouTube doesn't allow us to have a customized URL until we have over a certain number of subscribers. And follow us on Twitter at Texas Republic for You and at We Are Texians.
Who's never been on this call, I've been able to pick up a lot, but I don't have any current tax issues, but I get what you're saying is you're basically doing some defenses ahead of time. So I really don't know where to start, actually, if you could kind of explain the starting. And I'm not clear as to which courts you would send that letter to.
Okay. When you say the letter, you're going to send a letter to the United States District Court in Washington, D.C., asking if they have jurisdiction over the IRS. Because if the CID, that's the Criminal Investigation Division, they decide to knock at your door and say that you're going to be investigated for willful failure to file or whatever reason it is, they're going to take you to the United States District Court. And there's going to be a judge there, and they're going to have it's going to look like, for real, you're going to have a letter from the chief judge that says they don't have jurisdiction. There's a big piece of the pie. Now, the other thing that we're doing is we're going to the tax court telling the IRS they don't have jurisdiction. So if the CID comes after you and says you're not filing a tax return, that's correct. And the reason I don't file because the IRS doesn't have jurisdiction. And so what we're doing is we're trying to get all this set up in advance because when they're knocking at your door, you can't get it quick enough then.
Okay, so then to understand then, so first you're sending a letter to the U.S. District Court in D.C. asking if they have jurisdiction over the IRS, and then once you get your answer back, then you have evidence that proves that they don't. So then you would send that. If you needed to, you would send that to the tax court. Is that what you're saying?
No. There's a form. There's a form on the tax court website you fill out and send that to them, and then the IRS comes back and tells you they don't have jurisdiction there either. So what you're doing is you're going to protect yourself. So that no matter what they say or how they come at you or how they attack, they can't get to you because they're the ones that are saying they don't have it. So they don't have jurisdiction. You're pretty much protected everywhere you go.
Gotcha. So there's two different things you're doing. There's one, a letter going to the U.S. District Court in D.C. asking if they have jurisdiction. The other thing you're doing is a form that you're filling out where?
You're filling it out and mailing it to the tax court in Washington, D.C.
The tax court in Washington, D.C.?
Yes.
So there's two different things, the tax court and the U.S. District Court. They're separate courts, right?
Those are the two courts the IRS uses.
Tax court in D.C. Now, the form you said you're filling out, where are you getting that from?
What form? I'm not filling out any form. What form?
Oh, I thought earlier you said something about you going to a website and filling out a form.
you go to the United States Tax Court .gov. On there, there's a form there that you fill out for them, and you send it to them.
There's petition, USTaxCourt.gov, and what's the name of that form? How do you find that form?
You go on there. There's a tab that says Forms, and you open it up, and it'll say on there Forms, and then you just read the forms, and it says what is it? Something package. What is it called, Ed? Do you remember?
I think it says petition package.
Petition package. That's it. Petition package. You download it. It's only about 4 or 5 pages. You download it. And you just fill in the blank.
5 pages.
Yep, 5 pages.
I couldn't understand what's being said. Was it called petition package?
Petition. Yes.
Petition package. Okay, you get that, and then you fill that out, and then you send that in, and that's going to have the the tax court respond that they don't have jurisdiction either.
Yes. No, the IRS is going. No, the IRS is going to respond to them saying they don't have it.
Okay, so that petition package gets sent to the IRS or sent to the?
No, it gets sent to the U.S. Tax Court.
And so when you send it to the U.S. Tax Court, that prompts the IRS to answer it?
The tax court will then prompt the IRS to answer it. If they don't, they'll give you everything you ask. The U.S. Tax Court will prompt the IRS, and the IRS.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Because they have jurisdiction on the IRS will answer it.
The IRS is the respondent. You become the demand.
Correct.
Gotcha. But you're also saying that the U.S. Tax Court doesn't have jurisdiction either over the IRS. Is that correct?
Nope. No. The U.S. Tax Court does have jurisdiction over the IRS.
Okay, so then I don't understand how that helps.
Well, if the United States Tax Court has jurisdiction over the IRS, and the IRS tells the tax court they don't have jurisdiction over you, how would that not be helpful?
Oh, okay, I get it now. So I've never heard any of this before. So earlier it was so hard to hear everything.
Perfectly fine.
So much noise and interruptions. I could barely hear any of it. Okay, so the IRS is going to answer back saying that they don't have jurisdiction over me or over any individual. Okay,
that's correct.
Now. Okay.
And so that's now when they call you on the phone or write you a letter or whatever, you have an answer. Now, do you know how to get a hold of Ed?
Yes, through email.
Okay, then email him. He'll give you my number. Call me, and I'll do a one-on-one with you. We'll call up the forms, and I'll walk through it. Carrie, Ed knows me. Just email Ed, and he'll take care of you.
I didn't get your name. I don't need your name.
You don't need my name, but my name's Carrie.
Carrie, okay.
Could you repeat Ed's email address, please?
REPTX777@att.net.
Once more, because there's a lot of background noise. It's really very intense.
REPTX. That's short for Republic of Texas.
Okay.
REPTX777@att.net.
Did you get it?
Yeah, I'm going to repeat it. R. Robert, E. Edward, P. Paul, E. Edward, X. X-ray.
No.
7.
No. R-E-P. Texas. TX.
Yeah. Oh,
R-E-P-T-X.
TX. Okay. TX 777 at att.net. Apple Tom
There you
Tom.
go. You got it.
You got it.
What would be good to put in the title subject for the email, please?
Just tell them who you are and what you're looking. Just tell them who you are and what you're looking for.
Tell me who you are and what state you're from.
No, I'm talking about the subject line only for the email itself. Do you need anything special?
Yes, sir.
No, I'll just write down what your questions are. If you have questions, I can.
How about fellow Texan in the subject line? Would that evoke?
That'll work.
Since I am originally from there. Okay, thanks.
All right. There's some people that are making a lot of noise in the background. Would you hit *6? And what that does, that mutes you so that you're not. It doesn't make so much noise on the line. Okay, we're fixing to call it a night. Before we go, I want to give everybody a chance if you have any questions to ask, or if you have any comments that you would like to leave before you go, let us know.
On that website for tax court, there's one called Petition Simplified Form. Is that what you're talking about?
There you go. That's it. Download that package right there. That's yours. Okay. You got it. You're almost there. That's it.
All right.
Okay. Anybody else? You get your package and you have any questions, just get a hold of us.
Yes, because we want to make sure you do it correctly.
Yeah, just remember you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen twice a month as you talk.
That's what my wife tells me all the time. Ha ha. Especially when I try to give her, as legal advice.
All right, but I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. Does anybody have any questions? If anybody needs to get a hold of me, Ed knows most everything that we talk about. So, get a hold of Ed, and if you need help, he'll get a hold of me, and then I'll call you or I'll contact you some way.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm gonna call it a night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Our next call will be in 2 weeks.